The small town of Maplewood had that rare kind of quiet that made the late afternoon seem like it belonged to a dream. Birds chirped lazily above the streets lined with maple trees, their golden leaves drifting onto the sidewalks. At the heart of town, the police station hummed with routine activity, phones ringing, radios crackling, and the occasional laugh of officers enjoying a rare slow day. But even in this calm, something extraordinary was about to happen. 3-year-old Lily Matthews toddled into the station holding tightly onto her mother's hand. Her tiny shoes clicked against the linoleum floor, announcing her presence long before she reached the main room. Her dark eyes widened as she took in the rows of desks, stacks of paperwork, and the officers moving with purpose. She had been told that the police were helpers, but she didn't quite understand what that meant. "Mommy, look," she exclaimed, pointing toward the back of the room where a large German shepherd lay on a rubber mat. The dog's fur shimmered in shades of black and tan, and his ears twitched at the sound of her voice. His name was Rex, a veteran K9 with years of experience tracking, searching, and protecting. But even the officers who had worked with him closely weren't sure what to expect from a child this small. Lily's mother, Emily, smiled nervously. "Go on, sweetie, say hello." Lily's tiny legs carried her forward before Emily could stop her. "Hi, puppy," she squealed, stopping a few feet from Rex. The dog's head lifted lazily. He tilted it, one ear flicking back, studying her carefully. He didn't move forward immediately. Rex rarely let anyone approach unless his handler said it was okay. But something in Lily's presence, perhaps her innocent energy or the lack of fear in her bright eyes, made him pause. Slowly, he wagged his tail once, a deliberate, cautious movement. "Whoa," whispered Officer Daniels, who was sitting at the nearby desk. "He's never done that before with anyone under 10. Emily watched, holding her breath. "Rex, it's okay. She's just a little girl," she said, though she wasn't entirely sure if reassurance was needed. Lily reached out a tiny hand, and to everyone's amazement, Rex inched forward, placing his large head gently in her open palm. She giggled, a sound like tiny bells, and stroked the coarse fur with careful curiosity. "You're soft," she said simply, and the dog seemed to nod as if he understood her words. Officer Daniels chuckled quietly. "Well, that's a first." Rex's handler, Sergeant Mark Peterson, approached slowly, a mix of pride and caution on his face. "Easy there, Rex. She's just a kid. He's not going to hurt her, but I want him to stay calm." Rex didn't need instructions. The dog remained perfectly still, letting Lily's fingers trace along his muzzle down to his strong shoulders. There was a strange intelligence in his dark eyes, a mix of patience, curiosity, and something almost human. Lily, oblivious to the fascination of the officers, leaned closer, whispering, "Do you like me?" Rex's tail thumped softly against the floor. Emily blinked back tears. "I can't believe it," she murmured. "He's never been like this with anyone." The officers exchanged glances. Rex had been trained to respond to commands, to sniff out danger, to protect the innocent. But no training had prepared them for this, the connection between a tiny, fearless child and a seasoned police dog. Over the next half hour, Lily played quietly beside Rex. She pointed to his ears, then to his paws, asking him questions in her gentle, rambling way. "Why are your ears so big? Are your paws soft? Can you catch me if I run?" Rex lay still, following her movements with keen eyes, responding with the occasional tilt of his head or a careful wag of his tail. Sergeant Peterson knelt beside Emily. "I've seen him with kids before, but never like this. It's different. He's not just reacting, he's engaged, almost like he's listening." Emily smiled, squeezing her daughter's hand. "I think he likes her." "Likes her?" Officer Daniels teased. "He's got a sixth sense for trouble. If he likes her, that's something else entirely." Lily's curiosity seemed endless. She crawled under the table to peek at Rex from below, then came out smiling. "You're a good boy," she said proudly, patting his side. Rex leaned into her touch, his nose brushing against her hair as if to acknowledge her compliment. It wasn't just the officers who noticed the unusual bond forming. Other children waiting in the station stared in awe, whispering excitedly. "That dog listens to her," one exclaimed. "He's like magic." Even Sergeant Peterson found himself chuckling softly. "You might be right, kiddo," he said, watching Lily speak to Rex. "There's something special happening here." After a while, Emily called her daughter back. "Time to go, sweetie." Lily reluctantly released Rex, giving him one last gentle pat. Rex watched her go, head slightly lowered but with a calmness that suggested he would remember this encounter. As they left the station, Emily glanced back at Rex. "Do you think he'll remember her?" she whispered. Sergeant Peterson gave a small, knowing smile. "Rex never forgets anything important." Later that evening, back at home, Lily couldn't stop talking about the dog. "Rex is my friend," she told her father, clutching her stuffed bunny. "He listens to me. He's magic." Emily laughed softly, though a shiver ran down her spine. "Magic, huh? Maybe. Or maybe he's just special." Somewhere across town, Rex rested in his kennel, alert even in sleep. His ears twitched at every sound, but his expression was calm. There was a quiet intelligence in his eyes, a sense of knowing that something extraordinary had begun. He had met Lily, the tiny girl who spoke to him in a way that no one else could. And though the officers did not yet understand it, that meeting would set the stage for events that would leave the entire town, and eventually a courtroom, stunned. That night, Maplewood slept under a sky dotted with stars, unaware that an extraordinary bond had just formed, between a fearless 3-year-old and a dog who was anything but ordinary. And somewhere in the quiet, a future adventure was quietly taking root, ready to unfold when the world least expected it. The sun was bright over Maplewood Park that Saturday afternoon, painting the trees in gold and orange hues as families scattered across picnic blankets. Children ran and laughed, chasing bubbles or flying kites, while parents kept a watchful eye. Lily Matthews, still filled with the curiosity that had captured Rex's attention at the station, wandered near a cluster of maple trees, her tiny hands gripping a stuffed bunny. Her mother, Emily, was chatting with a friend, momentarily distracted, and her father, David, was unpacking sandwiches at the picnic blanket. 3-year-old Lily, however, had noticed a flutter of butterflies dancing near the creek. Her eyes lit up, and before anyone could call her back, she toddled toward the sparkling water. She giggled, completely unaware of the danger that could come with wandering off. "Lily," Emily shouted, turning just in time to see her daughter disappearing behind a bush. Panic surged through her chest. "David, she's gone." David's eyes widened. Gone, she couldn't have wandered far. But they both knew better. Lily was fast for her age, fearless and curious. The minutes stretched painfully as they called her name, voices cracking with urgency. The laughter of other children faded into an eerie silence around their corner of the park. Nearby, Officer Daniels, off duty and visiting his family, noticed the commotion. He sprinted over, immediately scanning the park. "Is she missing?" he asked Emily, recognizing the urgency in her voice. She just wandered toward the creek," Emily sobbed, wringing her hands. "We didn't see her slip away." Within moments, the local police department was called. Sirens sounded faintly in the distance as a team of officers rushed to the park. Among them was Sergeant Mark Peterson, with Rex at his side, alert and ready. Rex sniffed the air as soon as they arrived, his body tense, tail straight, ears pricked. "Rex, find her," Peterson commanded, and the dog sprang into action, moving with the precision and intensity of a trained professional. He sniffed the grass, his paws kicking up leaves, following the tiny scent left behind by Lily's small shoes. The search stretched across the park, over fields dotted with daffodils, through groves of maple and oak, and along the edge of the creek where Lily had wandered. Every officer called her name repeatedly, but all they could hear were the whispers of the wind through the trees. Meanwhile, Lily had reached the creek, her reflection shimmering on the water's surface. She marveled at the butterflies, crouching to watch them dance. A rock shifted under her foot, startling her, and she stumbled backward, nearly falling into the water. Fear flashed across her tiny face, but before panic could take hold, a familiar, comforting presence appeared: Rex. The dog had followed her scent with relentless determination. Now he sat a few feet away, watching, alert but calm. Lily's tears welled up, but she felt immediately safe. "Rex," she cried, reaching out to him. Rex barked softly, a sound full of reassurance, and Lily ran to him, holding his massive head with both hands. She whispered, "Don't let me fall, okay?" The dog leaned into her touch, letting her feel his strength and steadiness. Back at the park, the officers and her parents had followed Rex's path. They arrived just as Lily clung to him and Emily collapsed, tears streaming down her face. "Oh, thank God! Thank you, Rex!" she sobbed, hugging her daughter tightly. Peterson patted Rex's flank. "Good job, boy, you kept her safe." Rex wagged his tail gently, his eyes meeting Lily as if to say, "She's safe now. I've got her." The news of the rescue spread quickly through the town. Neighbors gathered, relieved and astonished. "That dog, he's a hero," someone whispered. Others nodded, whispering in awe about the strange bond between the toddler and the police dog. But even as relief washed over the Matthews family, there was a lingering sense of wonder. Lily had never shown fear. She had walked into a dangerous situation and come out unharmed, guided in part by instinct, and in part by a silent understanding with a dog who seemed to sense her every move. Later that evening, Emily tucked Lily into bed. "You scared us today, little one," she murmured. Lily's small arms wrapped around her stuffed bunny, and she smiled. "Rex kept me safe, Mommy," she said softly, her eyes closing. Meanwhile, Rex rested in his kennel at the station, alert yet calm. Sergeant Peterson knelt beside him. "You did it again, boy. You saved her." Rex lifted his head slightly, his gaze sharp, intelligent and unwavering. He had done more than follow his training. He had sensed something beyond the ordinary, a connection to the little girl that defied logic. The next morning, the town's local news crew captured the story. "Toddler saved by police dog. Rex the K9 hero." Photographs of Lily hugging Rex circulated on social media. Comments poured in from the community, praising the dog's bravery and marveling at the unusual bond between the child and the K9. At school and around the neighborhood, children whispered about Lily and Rex. "Did you see the dog? He's magic," one child exclaimed. "I want a dog like that," another said. The tale spread like wildfire, transforming the quiet town into a place buzzing with admiration for a dog who was no ordinary police officer. But for Lily, the magic was simple. Rex was her friend, and he had saved her when she needed him most. She didn't care about awards, photographs, or headlines. All that mattered was the gentle warmth of his fur and the sense of safety she felt when she was near him. Emily and David, however, understood that this was no ordinary incident. They watched as Lily recounted the rescue to her grandparents, her words filled with innocence yet tinged with an unusual confidence. "Rex found me, Grandpa. He knows me," she said. The adults exchanged glances. Could it be possible that Rex had truly understood her, or at least sensed her in a way no one else could? Across town, Sergeant Peterson made a mental note. Rex had performed flawlessly, but more than that, he had formed a bond that might influence everything to come. There was something about Lily, something instinctive, fearless, and extraordinary, that resonated with the dog in a way that no training manual could teach. That night, as Maplewood slept, both Lily and Rex rested, each aware in their own way that the day had been unlike any other. A connection had been forged, one that would soon be tested in ways no one could yet imagine. In the quiet, Emily whispered a prayer of thanks. "God, keep her safe, and thank you for Rex." She didn't know how remarkable the next chapter of their lives would be, nor did anyone suspect that this extraordinary partnership between a toddler and a police dog would soon astonish an entire courtroom. The days following Lily's rescue were a blur of excitement, relief, and quiet amazement in Maplewood. The story of the 3-year-old and Rex, the police dog who had saved her, had spread like wildfire through the small town. Neighbors stopped by to offer congratulations. The local bakery put together a hero's cupcake in Lily's honor, and even the mayor mentioned the incident during a community event. But despite all the attention, the most extraordinary part of the story remained hidden from everyone's view. The bond forming between Lily and Rex, deeper than anyone could have anticipated. The Matthews family decided to visit the police station the following weekend, partly to thank the officers again, but mostly because Lily refused to stop talking about Rex. "Can we see Rex again, Mommy? I want to show him my new shoes," she said eagerly, clutching a small pair of bright pink sneakers. Emily laughed, ruffling her daughter's hair. "Okay, but we'll be careful. Remember, he's still a working dog." When they arrived, Rex was lounging lazily in his kennel, but the moment he caught sight of Lily, his demeanor shifted. He stood, ears pricked, tail wagging slowly but deliberately. His dark eyes followed her every movement, and for reasons no one could fully explain, he seemed excited. "Rex," Lily squealed, dropping her sneakers and running toward him. The dog took careful steps forward, sniffing her as if verifying that she was indeed the same child he had rescued. Lily crouched down, wrapping her small arms around his massive neck. Rex leaned into her embrace, allowing the hug but maintaining his trained vigilance. Officer Daniels watched from a distance, shaking his head in disbelief. "I've been with Rex for 6 years. I've never seen him react like that to anyone, let alone a toddler." Sergeant Peterson nodded. "It's more than training. That dog, he trusts her in a way that's instinctive, almost human." Lily pulled back slightly, studying Rex's face with a serious expression that seemed far beyond her age. "Do you remember the creak?" she asked softly. Rex tilted his head. His ears flicked and he let out a quiet whine, a sound of recognition. Lily's lips curled into a tiny smile. "You found me. You kept me safe." The officers exchanged astonished glances. This wasn't just a dog responding to commands. This was a connection, a mutual understanding that defied logic. Lily, in her innocent way, seemed to communicate with Rex on a level that no one else could. Over the next hour, Lily and Rex explored the station together. She pointed at his paws, asking questions he couldn't answer, and he responded with subtle gestures, nudging her hand with his nose, tilting his head, giving a gentle bark. It was a dialogue of trust and intuition, one that seemed invisible to the adults but entirely real between the child and the dog. Emily watched, half amazed and half nervous. "I don't know what's going on, David," she whispered. "It's like they understand each other." David nodded, equally fascinated. "It's incredible. I've never seen a bond like this. It's almost like they speak their own language." Peterson, ever the pragmatist, studied Rex carefully. "He's calm, focused, and responsive in ways even I don't fully understand. Lily has some kind of presence with him, something instinctive. It's not just fearlessness. He listens to her in a way he doesn't with anyone else." Meanwhile, Lily climbed onto a chair, pointing at a pile of police files. "Rex, is that where the missing stuff went?" she asked in her tiny, precise voice. The dog sniffed the papers, stepping carefully around them, then gave a small bark. Emily nearly choked on her coffee. That's impossible," she whispered. "She doesn't even know what that means." Rex's handler knelt beside him, voice low. "He's responding to her cues. I've seen this before in extreme situations, but never with a child, and never like this." The officers allowed the interaction to continue. Lily's innocent questions and statements seemed to guide Rex in a subtle dance of recognition, pointing toward objects, sniffing areas she indicated, and even nudging her small hands toward corners of the room. It was as if she had unlocked something hidden in his training, a connection only possible through instinct and trust. By the end of the visit, Emily and David had seen enough to realize this was no ordinary friendship. Lily had formed a bond that might shape the dog's behavior in ways even the police hadn't anticipated. And while the community saw a cute story of a toddler and a dog, The Matthews family recognized something more profound. Rex understood Lily in a way no human could, and she seemed to sense that he could protect and guide her. When they left the station, Lily waved at Rex, whispering a small, "See you soon." Rex barked once, a soft acknowledgement, before sitting obediently beside Peterson. Even in the car, Emily found herself staring out the window thinking, "Do you think he'll always be like that with her?" she asked David. "I think," he replied quietly, "they understand each other in a way that goes beyond words, and something tells me this is only the beginning." That evening back at home, Lily recounted the day to her stuffed animals as though they were witnesses. Rex listened. "He knows me. He's magic," she said, placing her tiny hands over her eyes and peeking between her fingers with a smile. Emily tucked her in, feeling a mixture of awe, worry, and pride. Her daughter had just survived an ordeal that would make most children cling in fear, but Lily had faced it with courage and calm, guided in part by an extraordinary dog. Across town at the police station, Rex rested in his kennel but remained unusually alert. His ears twitched at every sound, and his eyes seemed to follow the distant memory of the tiny girl who had spoken to him as if he were more than a dog. Sergeant Peterson watched him quietly. "Rex, you've bonded with her," he murmured, "and somehow I think she's going to need you again." Indeed, it seemed Maplewood had entered a new chapter in its quiet life. The townspeople didn't yet realize it, but this bond, between a fearless 3-year-old and a police dog trained for logic and instinct, would soon be tested in ways that would astonish the entire community, challenge the limits of what people thought possible, and ultimately leave an indelible mark on the town's history. As night fell over Maplewood, the stars twinkling in a clear sky, the Matthews family slept soundly, Lily dreaming of butterflies and Rex, while at the station, Rex lay curled, alert yet calm. Somewhere deep in the dog's mind was a certainty, a sense of purpose and loyalty that no words could express. And somewhere in Lily's heart was the knowledge that she had a protector who understood her in a way no human ever could. The unexpected bond had been formed, invisible to most, yet powerful enough to change the lives of everyone involved. And in the days to come, this bond would grow, deepen, and ultimately reveal itself in ways that would leave the town of Maplewood, its citizens, and even the courtrooms that would later host them, completely awestruck. The following week, Maplewood was abuzz with whispers and excited glances. The story of Lily Matthews and Rex had become a staple topic at the bakery, the grocery store, and even at the local library. Everyone seemed captivated by the notion of a 3-year-old girl forming an extraordinary bond with a seasoned police dog. But for Lily and her family, the focus was different. Curiosity and trust had woven a connection they couldn't quite explain, one that seemed to grow stronger with each encounter. Emily and David decided that another visit to the police station was necessary. Not only did they want to thank the officers again, but Lily insisted she had more questions for Rex. "He can show me things," she said, clasping her small hands together in excitement. "I know it." Emily smiled nervously, brushing a strand of dark hair from her daughter's forehead. "All right, sweetie, but we'll be careful. Rex is a working dog, remember." Upon arrival, the Matthews family noticed a different energy at the station. While the previous visit had been quiet, calm, and filled with curiosity, this day carried anticipation. The officers glanced up, some smiling, others curious. And then Rex appeared, standing near the entrance to his kennel, ears twitching as he caught sight of Lily. His dark eyes locked on hers, a familiar spark lighting them. It was subtle but unmistakable, recognition. "Rex," Lily called, running forward with her tiny legs, giggling. The dog responded instantly, stepping gracefully toward her, maintaining the controlled movements of a trained police dog, yet showing unmistakable warmth. Lily reached out and hugged his strong neck, leaning against him with unshakable confidence. The officers, gathered around, whispered among themselves. "He's never reacted like this to anyone," said Officer Daniels, still trying to reconcile the disciplined K-9 behavior he knew with the gentle interactions he was witnessing. Something about her, he trusts her instinctively, Sergeant Peterson replied. It's beyond training. There's a bond there we don't fully understand. For the next hour, Lily explored the station with Rex by her side. She asked him questions in her babbling, precise manner. Do you like this? Can you show me where the important things are? Rex responded in ways that seemed almost intelligent, nudging her toward areas of the station that, to any other child, would have been meaningless. He led her past filing cabinets around desks and toward a small room used for evidence storage. Lily giggled, pointing at a stack of papers. This is it, Rex. This is where it all went. Emily gasped, staring at her daughter. She doesn't even know what that means, she whispered to David. Peterson approached carefully, keeping his voice low. Rex is responding to her cues. He's not just a dog, he's engaged in a way I've never seen before. This is unusual, even for K-9 work. The child's tiny hands reached out, touching folders, nudging files, and whispering encouragement to the dog. Rex followed her movements, sniffing and tilting his head as though understanding her every gesture. The interaction was almost hypnotic for the adults present. Officers who had seen Rex in life-or-death situations watched in stunned silence as this toddler directed his focus with effortless ease. Emily couldn't tear her eyes away. It's like they have their own language, she murmured. David nodded, equally captivated. And somehow they understand each other perfectly. Lily and Rex's exploration didn't go unnoticed. Other children visiting the station peeked over desks, whispering excitedly. He listens to her, one child exclaimed. It's like magic. Even Sergeant Peterson, always a pragmatist, felt a shiver of awe. I've trained dogs for years, he admitted quietly. I've seen instinct in action, but this is something else entirely. He's not just following her commands, he's responding emotionally, intuitively. She has unlocked something in him. As the afternoon passed, Emily and David realized the profound implications. Lily had survived her park ordeal not only because of Rex's training, but because of the bond they shared. One built on instinct, trust, and perhaps a touch of unexplainable intuition. The connection was remarkable, unshakable, and increasingly visible to anyone who witnessed it. Peterson noticed it too. If this bond is as strong as it appears, it could have real implications for the work we do with Rex, maybe even beyond search and rescue, he said thoughtfully. The Matthews family reluctantly prepared to leave. Lily waved at Rex, whispering, "See you soon. We'll play again." The dog gave a soft bark, a signal of acknowledgement, before settling back into his usual calm posture beside Peterson. As the family drove home, Emily and David exchanged quiet glances. "This isn't ordinary," Emily said, her voice low. "It's extraordinary. I've never seen anything like it." David nodded. She trusts him and he trusts her. It's more than training. It's instinct, intelligence, and something else, maybe something no one can explain. That evening, the Matthews household was quiet. Lily lay in bed, clutching her stuffed bunny, but her mind was alive with thoughts of Rex. "He listens to me," she whispered, closing her eyes. "He knows me." Emily smiled as she tucked her daughter in. "Yes, sweetie, he does, and he always will." Across town, Rex rested in his kennel at the police station, alert yet calm. Sergeant Peterson knelt beside him, murmuring quietly, "You're bonded with her, boy. I don't know what it means yet, but you'll need to be ready. She's going to need you again." The next morning, Maplewood was alive with anticipation. Newspapers carried photos of Lily hugging Rex, and local television stations replayed the story of her park rescue. The town celebrated not only the bravery of the dog, but also the courage of the tiny girl whose confidence and innocence had inspired everyone. Yet even as Maplewood admired Rex, the Matthews family knew the truth. It wasn't just bravery. It was connection. Lily's fearlessness, curiosity, and trust had awakened something profound in Rex, a capacity to respond, protect, and understand that went far beyond normal K-9 training. Emily reflected on the past few days, her mind swirling with both awe and concern. "Do you think he'll always be like this with her?" she asked David. "I don't know," he replied, a thoughtful frown on his face. "But I do know one thing. Their bond is special, and whatever happens next, it's going to surprise everyone." As night fell over Maplewood, the town seemed quieter than usual. The streets were empty, the leaves rustling softly in the wind. Inside the Matthews home, Lily slept peacefully, dreaming of butterflies, streams, and the dog who had saved her life. At the police station, Rex lay curled on his mat, alert yet resting, his eyes reflecting a calm intelligence. Somewhere deep inside, he remembered the tiny girl who had spoken to him in a way no one else could understand. Unseen by the townspeople, that bond, the invisible, unshakable thread between child and dog, was growing stronger, preparing for challenges that no one could yet foresee. And while the citizens of Maplewood admired Rex as a hero and Lily as a tiny survivor, neither group could imagine just how extraordinary the partnership would become. A storm of events was quietly brewing on the horizon, and the bond between a fearless toddler and a devoted police dog would soon be tested in ways that would astonish the entire town, change lives, and ultimately lead them from the familiar calm of the park to the uncharted tension of a courtroom. Maplewood's modest courthouse, a red brick building with tall columns and polished wooden doors, had seen countless proceedings in its long history. But today, it was different. Whispers rippled through the halls as officers, lawyers, and spectators arrived, catching sight of Rex walking calmly beside Sergeant Peterson. The German shepherd's posture was impeccable, disciplined yet alert, every movement precise, his dark eyes scanning the room. It wasn't often a police dog entered a courtroom, much less one of Rex's reputation. Inside the courtroom, the murmur of curiosity grew louder. People craned their necks to glimpse the dog, their expressions a mix of astonishment and skepticism. Reporters raised cameras, capturing the unusual sight. A seasoned K9 and his handler, standing before a judge, ready to play a role in a legal proceeding. Emily clutched Lily's tiny hand, her heart pounding. Lily, in her pink dress, held a small stuffed bunny and looked between her parents and Rex with wide, calm eyes. "Don't worry, Mommy," she whispered. "Rex will help." Emily swallowed hard, unsure whether to be relieved or terrified. Her 3-year-old daughter had never faced such a formal, tense environment, but somehow she seemed ready. Sergeant Peterson led Rex to a designated area near the front of the courtroom. "Stay," he commanded in a low tone. Rex lay down immediately, obedient yet alert, ears flicking with every subtle noise. The shuffle of papers, the murmur of attorneys, the whispers of curious spectators. The judge, a stern woman with steel-gray hair and an air of authority, adjusted her glasses. "Is that a police dog?" she asked, eyes narrowing slightly. "Yes, Your Honor," Peterson replied. "Rex is a K9 officer with the Maplewood Police Department. He may be called upon to assist in this case." The courtroom buzzed softly. Spectators exchanged incredulous looks. A dog in a courtroom? For a theft case? Some whispered skeptically, others with a mixture of curiosity and amusement. The proceedings began, the attorneys taking their places, the bailiff calling the case to order. Evidence was presented, witnesses sworn in, and for the first hour, Rex remained perfectly still, calm under the weight of dozens of watchful eyes. But even in his calm, there was a quiet tension in the room, an energy that no one could quite explain. From her seat, Lily watched Rex carefully. She whispered tiny words to him under her breath. "Look, Rex, do you see them? They need help." The dog's ears twitched, his nose lifting slightly as if acknowledging her words. Emily's eyes widened. The officers nearby exchanged glances, unsure whether to intervene. It was subtle, barely noticeable to most, but Lily's voice had reached Rex in a way that transcended commands. Minutes stretched into tension-filled silence as the trial continued. Attorneys argued over small details. The judge asked pointed questions, and Rex shifted slightly, alert but still obedient. Then, unexpectedly, the moment arrived that would leave the courtroom stunned. Lily, unable to contain her attention, climbed carefully onto a chair to get a better view of Rex. "Rex," she called, her tiny voice carrying across the room. Every head turned and a hush fell over the courtroom. The judge raised an eyebrow, the attorneys paused mid-sentence, and reporters froze, pens poised above notepads. The dog lifted his head instantly. His eyes met hers, dark and intelligent, focused entirely on the child. The connection between them was palpable. It was as though a secret language existed, one that only they understood. "Do you see them, Rex?" Lily whispered again, pointing to a corner near the evidence table. "They're hiding something." Rex responded subtly. A low whine, a tilt of his head, a careful step forward, all invisible cues yet full of meaning. The courtroom, sensing something unusual, fell silent, every observer caught between curiosity and disbelief. Emily clutched her daughter's hand, heart racing. "Oh my God," she murmured. She's talking to him." Officer Daniels whispered to Peterson, barely audibly, "He's responding. Look at him. He's actually responding to her." Peterson nodded, his jaw tight. "This is unprecedented, but it's real." Rex moved carefully, guided by Lily's subtle gestures. He sniffed near the corner she had indicated, pawed lightly at a folder and backed away, signaling acknowledgement. The judge, initially skeptical, leaned forward, intrigued by the unusual display. Even the defense attorney, who had been critical of using a dog in the courtroom, could not hide his amazement. Lily's tiny voice carried again, "Rex, they're lying. Look here." She pointed toward a briefcase near the evidence table. The dog approached, sniffing deliberately, his movements precise, as though he understood the importance of her direction. A hush descended over the room. Spectators leaned forward, their eyes wide. The child and the dog were performing a silent investigation right in front of them, in a courtroom where logic, procedure, and rules typically governed every move. The unnatural partnership of innocence and instinct was both fascinating and unsettling. "Your Honor," Peterson said quietly, "Rex may be able to confirm the location of some evidence. He is responding to cues from the child who was involved in the case." The judge regarded him with skepticism, but curiosity won over protocol. "Proceed carefully," she said, "but this is highly unusual. Everyone remain calm." Lily pointed again, speaking softly, directing Rex toward a cabinet near the evidence table. The dog moved as if guided by an invisible hand, paws steady, eyes sharp. He nudged a folder forward, a quiet signal that drew the attention of the attorneys. Gasps rose from the courtroom. The folder contained a critical piece of evidence that had been missing for weeks, and it had been overlooked in previous searches. Suddenly, the importance of the tiny girl's guidance and Rex's intuition became clear. Emily buried her face in her hands, tears streaming. "Oh, Lily," she whispered, "you've done it." David squeezed her shoulder, equally amazed. "She didn't just survive the park, she's helping solve the case now." Rex, obedient yet intelligent, lay calmly after completing the task, his gaze flicking toward Lily once more. She smiled at him, whispering a quiet, "Good job, Rex." The dog's ears flicked, and he gave a single soft bark, an acknowledgement that seemed to communicate a shared understanding only they could grasp. Reporters snapped photos, capturing the incredible bond unfolding before their eyes. Witnesses whispered in awe. Lawyers and even the judge exchanged looks that combined skepticism, curiosity, and wonder. The courtroom, once a place of formal procedure, had been transformed into a stage for something extraordinary. A 3-year-old child and a police dog working together in perfect harmony. As the trial resumed, the energy in the room had shifted. Everyone had witnessed the moment of silent communication between innocence and instinct. No one doubted that Lily and Rex had accomplished something remarkable, and yet the implications of their connection were still unfolding. For Emily and David, it was a mixture of pride, amazement, and awe. Their daughter had shown courage beyond her years, while the dog they had come to trust had displayed intelligence and loyalty that transcended training. Together, they had changed the courtroom atmosphere, reminding everyone that sometimes instinct, trust, and heart could achieve what rules and logic could not. When the session ended for the day, the judge called a brief recess, shaking her head. "I've been in this courtroom for decades," she said quietly to an officer. "I've never seen anything like that." Peterson knelt beside Rex, speaking softly. "Good work, boy. You stayed calm, you stayed focused, and you trusted her." Rex gave a soft whine in response, eyes reflecting intelligence and loyalty. Lily's tiny voice piped up from her mother's side. "Rex, we did it, see. I knew you could help." Emily smiled, squeezing her daughter's hand. "Yes, sweetie, you really did." The courthouse doors closed behind them, but the story of that extraordinary courtroom moment had already begun to spread. Maplewood would never forget the day a fearless 3-year-old and a police dog captivated an entire room, leaving everyone in awe of their courage, intelligence, and the invisible bond that connected them. And though the trial was far from over, one thing was certain. When child and dog worked together, nothing in Maplewood or the courtroom would ever be ordinary again. The courtroom had returned to an uneasy calm after the astonishing events earlier in the day. Lawyers whispered among themselves, exchanging incredulous glances. Reporters leaned forward in their seats, pens poised, cameras ready, yet even they seemed hesitant to break the silence. Something extraordinary had occurred. A 3-year-old and a police dog had collaborated in a subtle, unspoken language that revealed critical evidence no adult had managed to uncover. Lily, seated on her mother's lap, glanced at Rex with a quiet intensity. "Rex," she whispered, barely audible, "they're hiding something else. Do you see it?" The dog's ears twitched, his dark eyes locking onto hers. A low, soft whine escaped him, almost like an acknowledgement. Every person in the courtroom seemed to sense the shift in energy. Officers exchanged nervous glances. Even the judge leaned forward, her expression a mixture of skepticism and fascination. Emily squeezed Lily's hand tightly, unsure whether to intervene or let the moment unfold. "Sweetie," she whispered, "just sit quietly." But Lily's focus was unwavering. She pointed subtly toward a cabinet near the back, whispering, "Rex, look there. That's it." Rex rose slowly, alert but controlled, moving toward the indicated area with precise, careful steps. The courtroom collectively held its breath, witnesses and attorneys alike frozen in disbelief. The dog pawed at the cabinet, sniffing deliberately, then stepped back, tail wagging softly in a gesture of confirmation. The judge's eyes widened. "What in the world?" she muttered. Even the defense attorney, usually quick to interrupt and challenge procedure, remained speechless. "Rex is indicating something, Your Honor," Sergeant Peterson said calmly. "He is responding to cues from the child involved in this case." The courtroom fell utterly silent. The combination of Lily's tiny voice and Rex's disciplined response was unlike anything anyone had witnessed. Spectators leaned forward, fascinated, as the dog nudged open a drawer to reveal a small stack of papers, documents previously thought to be missing. Emily's breath caught. "Oh, Lily," she whispered, tears brimming in her eyes, "you're incredible." David put a hand on her shoulder. She's guiding him," he murmured. "It's unbelievable, but it's happening." Lily, oblivious to the stunned adults, leaned forward slightly. "Rex, they said it wasn't here," she said in a soft voice. "But we found it, didn't we?" The dog responded with a gentle bark and a nudge toward the drawer, as though confirming her statement. The room seemed suspended in time. Everyone present felt the weight of the moment. Logic, procedure, and skepticism had been temporarily eclipsed by instinct, trust, and the invisible bond between child and dog. It was a delicate, miraculous demonstration of connection that transcended words. The judge, regaining her composure, cleared her throat. "Well, "I've never seen anything like this," she said, voice steady but tinged with awe. The court recognizes the role of the K-9 officer in this situation, and it appears the child's guidance has been crucial. Attorney voices broke the silence, some cautious, others incredulous. "Your Honor," one began, "we cannot rely on a child or a dog to direct evidence handling." But even he faltered as he observed Rex returning to Lily's side, sitting obediently while maintaining focus on the drawer they had just opened. Sergeant Peterson spoke again, voice calm but authoritative. "Rex is trained to follow cues, to respond to situations involving instinct and judgment. Today, he has done so under direction from a child who has demonstrated extraordinary awareness. We believe the evidence retrieved is legitimate, accurate, and relevant." The courtroom remained quiet, absorbed in the unfolding story. Witnesses whispered to each other. Spectators exchanged stunned looks. Even reporters paused, pens hovering above notebooks, capturing a moment that defied the ordinary expectations of justice. Lily leaned back slightly, resting her tiny hands in her lap, her eyes still bright with focus. "Rex," she whispered, "you did it again." The dog looked at her, ears flicking, tail wagging softly, a response that seemed almost human. Emily and David watched with a mixture of pride and awe. Their daughter, so small and innocent, had exhibited a calm and precise understanding of a tense, complex situation that few adults could manage. And Rex, disciplined and intelligent, had responded in ways that highlighted not only his training, but also the extraordinary bond he shared with Lily. The prosecutor, regaining his composure, leaned toward the judge. "Your Honor," he said carefully, "we may need to verify the chain of custody and ensure proper handling, but it seems undeniable that this evidence has been located." The judge nodded slowly, her eyes on Lily and Rex. "We will proceed carefully, but I must say the courtroom has witnessed something remarkable today, extraordinary even. I would like the record to reflect the child's involvement and the K-9 officer's actions in retrieving the evidence." A soft murmur passed through the room. The reality of the moment was settling in. The proceedings, which had begun as a typical theft case, had become a demonstration of instinct, trust, and human-animal communication at its finest. Officers discreetly photographed Rex and the retrieved documents for the record, careful to maintain procedure while honoring the dog's contribution. Meanwhile, Lily whispered quietly to her mother, "I helped him, Mommy. We did it together." Emily's voice shook with emotion. "Yes, sweetie, you did. You two are incredible." David nodded in quiet admiration. "I don't think anyone else could have done this, and you both did it together." Even the court staff, typically stoic and detached, seemed affected by the scene. Some whispered in disbelief. Others watched silently, sensing that they had witnessed something historic, a rare, almost magical collaboration between innocence and trained instinct. Rex, now lying down beside Lily, gave a gentle nudge with his nose as though acknowledging her words. The child leaned forward, stroking his fur, whispering, "Good boy, you're my best friend." The dog's tail wagged slowly, a soft sound echoing in the otherwise silent room. For a few moments, time seemed to pause. The tension, the skepticism, the rules, and the hierarchy all faded into the background. What remained was a simple, undeniable truth. The bond between a tiny child and a police dog had bridged a gap no words, logic, or procedures could. The judge finally spoke, her voice steady but tinged with awe. "This courtroom has seen something extraordinary. It is a testament to courage, trust, and perhaps even something more. Let us proceed, acknowledging the contributions of all involved." As proceedings continued, the quiet respect for Lily and Rex remained palpable. Lawyers spoke with new caution. Witnesses observed with awe. Spectators whispered, captivated by a scene that would remain in their memories long after the trial ended. When the day's session concluded, Emily gathered Lily in her arms. "You were amazing today," she whispered. "You and Rex." Lily hugged her mother tightly, her tiny voice soft but proud. "We did it together," she said, looking over at the dog, who wagged his tail softly in response. Sergeant Peterson knelt beside Rex. "Good work, boy. Calm, focused, and loyal. You've done more than your duty today." Rex gave a soft bark, ears flicking toward Lily, a quiet acknowledgement that their bond had achieved something extraordinary. Outside the courthouse, the late afternoon sun cast long shadows over Maplewood streets. The town's residents, many of whom had gathered in anticipation, witnessed the small family and the police dog emerge together. Cameras clicked. Phones captured images. But beyond the headlines and photographs, a far more profound story had been written. One of trust, instinct, and an unspoken understanding that transcended age, species, and expectation. Inside, Lily's tiny hand rested gently on Rex's head. She whispered softly, "We're a team, Rex." The dog's ears flicked, tail wagged, and eyes met hers in quiet affirmation. It was a bond no one else could fully comprehend, yet everyone who saw it felt the impact, an extraordinary connection that had left an entire courtroom in awe. And though the trial was far from over, one thing was undeniable. The day had been transformed by a 3-year-old's courage, a police dog's loyalty, and a connection that would continue to astonish Maplewood, its citizens, and the world beyond. The next morning in Maplewood was electric with anticipation. Word of Lily and Rex's extraordinary courtroom actions had spread throughout the town. Parents whispered to children at the bus stop, shopkeepers chatted with regulars, and even the local newspaper ran a front-page headline, "Toddler and K9 solve case in Maplewood courtroom." But for the Matthews family, excitement was coupled with a quiet, proud tension. Today would mark not only the continuation of the trial, but the moment when the town, the court, and even national attention would recognize something extraordinary. Emily and David dressed Lily carefully. Her pink dress was crisp and neat, her hair tied in a small bow and her stuffed bunny tucked safely under her arm. "Are you ready, little one?" Emily asked, her voice gentle but filled with pride. Lily nodded confidently, eyes sparkling. "Rex is ready too, Mommy. He knows what to do." At the courthouse, Sergeant Peterson guided Rex to his place near the front. The dog was calm, disciplined, but alert, every muscle poised and every sense attentive. Officers whispered in quiet awe. "He's incredible," one said. "Not just for his training, but for understanding her." Peterson nodded. "It's more than training, it's instinct, and it's extraordinary." Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was charged. Spectators filled every seat, reporters lined the aisles, and lawyers adjusted their notes with careful attention. The judge, her expression firm but intrigued, called the session to order. "We are reconvened. Please be seated," she said, her eyes scanning the room. Lily, seated safely with her mother, glanced at Rex. "We're going to do this, Rex," she whispered. The dog's ears flicked and he let out a quiet, reassuring bark, a sound filled with loyalty and focus. The trial resumed and the tension in the room was palpable. The attorneys presented evidence and witnesses testified. But every few minutes, Lily would quietly point or gesture toward an item, and Rex, trained yet instinctive, would move subtly, nudging or sniffing to confirm her guidance. Every time he did, a murmur ran through the courtroom. The combination of a toddler's intuition and a police dog's expertise was simply unprecedented. Emily and David exchanged amazed glances. "I can't believe this," David whispered. "She's guiding him and he's responding perfectly." "Yes," Emily agreed. "It's like they have a language of their own, and somehow it's working." At one point, the defense attorney tried to challenge the process. "Your Honor, this is highly irregular. Evidence is being handled based on cues from a child and a dog. This cannot be considered reliable." The judge held up a hand, silencing the objection. "We acknowledge the concerns," she said. "However, the court has observed the accuracy and relevance of the retrieved evidence. While unconventional, the contributions of both child and K9 officer are undeniable. We will proceed with careful consideration." Lily watched Rex closely. "Here, Rex," she whispered, pointing toward a briefcase near the evidence table. The dog approached, sniffed deliberately, and pawed at the handle, a quiet, precise gesture that drew the attention of the court clerk. The briefcase contained documents previously thought to be lost, critical to resolving the case. A hush fell over the courtroom. Witnesses and spectators alike stared in disbelief. Emily's hand trembled as she gripped Lily's. "Oh my God," she whispered. "She's doing it again." David nodded, equally awed. "They're incredible together." The judge leaned forward, her voice steady but filled with a rare warmth. "This court has witnessed extraordinary circumstances. The contributions of this K-9 officer and the child involved are remarkable and have significantly aided the proceedings." Peterson nodded at Rex, whispering, "Good boy, calm, precise, and attentive." Rex's ears flicked, tail wagging softly, a quiet acknowledgement of his role. Lily, thrilled, whispered, "We did it, Rex, we really did it." The session continued, and each moment reinforced the extraordinary nature of the partnership. Lily's gestures and soft words guided Rex, while the dog's disciplined movements confirmed the accuracy of her cues. Witnesses testified in awe, lawyers adapted their strategy, and the judge observed the unfolding events with a mixture of curiosity and respect. Outside the courtroom, townspeople had gathered. News crews filmed segments live, capturing the excitement and astonishment. A 3-year-old and a police dog have helped uncover missing evidence in a high-profile case. A reporter exclaimed, microphone trembling slightly with excitement. "It's a story that has everyone in Maplewood talking, and it's spreading far beyond this town." Emily and David, seated quietly, watched the coverage. "She's making history," Emily whispered, "and Rex, he's part of it." Meanwhile, Lily's confidence grew. She pointed with small, precise gestures, whispered softly, and watched intently as Rex responded without hesitation. The dog's intelligence, training, and instinct combined with Lily's courage and perception to create a silent, perfect teamwork. By mid-afternoon, the critical evidence had been officially presented, verified, and incorporated into the trial. The courtroom, which had begun the day with whispers and skepticism, now erupted into quiet acknowledgement. Spectators applauded softly, some teary-eyed, others simply stunned. For a moment, formality gave way to admiration for the extraordinary partnership that had unfolded before their eyes. The judge, observing the proceedings, addressed the courtroom. "Let it be known that today we have witnessed an extraordinary collaboration. While unconventional, the actions of this child and this K-9 officer have proven invaluable. Their courage, instinct, and trust are commendable and will be noted in the official record." Emily pulled Lily close, tears streaming down her face. "You were amazing," she whispered. Lily hugged her mother tightly. "We did it together," she said softly, looking over at Rex, who wagged his tail gently in acknowledgement. Peterson knelt beside the dog. "Excellent work today, boy. You stayed focused, calm, and loyal. You helped more than anyone could have imagined." Rex gave a soft bark, eyes glinting with intelligence and pride. After the session, the Matthews family and Rex were invited to a small recognition ceremony outside the courthouse. The mayor presented a medal to the child and a commendation to the K-9 officer. "Maplewood honors courage, instinct, and teamwork," the mayor announced. "Today, we celebrate a partnership that has inspired us all." Photographers captured the moment. Lily clutched her medal, smiling brightly, while Rex sat obediently, his ears alert, tail wagging slightly. The crowd erupted into soft cheers, and Emily and David beamed with pride. As they left the courthouse, townspeople approached, offering congratulations, shaking hands, and marveling at the unique partnership. "I've never seen anything like it," one resident said. "A child and a dog working together, it's incredible." Emily hugged Lily tightly. "You've done something extraordinary, sweetie," she whispered. "And Rex, you've been amazing too." Lily looked down at the dog, small hands resting on his fur. "We're a team, Rex," she said softly. The dog's ears flicked, tail wagged, and eyes met hers in quiet affirmation. It was a moment of triumph and recognition, not only for their actions but for the bond that had carried them through danger, uncertainty, and the scrutiny of an entire courtroom. That night back at home, the Matthews family reflected on the day's events. Maplewood would never forget the sight of a tiny girl and a police dog working in perfect harmony, defying expectations and achieving something extraordinary. Emily tucked Lily into bed, smiling through tears. "You made history today," she said. Lily hugged her bunny and whispered, "We did it together. Rex helped me." Across town, Rex rested in his kennel at the station, alert yet calm. Peterson knelt beside him. "Good job, boy. You've done more than your duty. You've shown the world what courage, loyalty, and trust really mean." Rex gave a soft bark, eyes reflecting intelligence, calm, and unwavering loyalty. For Lily, Rex, and the Matthews family, the triumph was more than recognition. It was a testament to courage, trust, and the extraordinary bond between child and dog, a bond that had transformed an ordinary courtroom into a stage for something remarkable. And as Maplewood settled into the quiet of evening, one thing was certain. The partnership between a fearless toddler and a devoted police dog would be remembered, celebrated, and talked about for years to come. The days following the courtroom triumph were filled with a quiet, awe-filled celebration throughout Maplewood. The story of Lily Matthews and Rex, the police dog, had spread far beyond the town limits. Newspapers across the state ran feature stories. Local television networks replayed footage of the courtroom, and social media buzzed with images of the tiny girl guiding the trained K-9 with her instinct and courage. But for the Matthews family, the real story was far more personal. At home, Emily and David watched their daughter and Rex interact in the backyard. Lily, barefoot on the grass, waved her arms and whispered soft instructions. "Rex, look, the butterfly went over there. Can you find it?" The dog, alert but gentle, followed her gaze, sniffing and nudging carefully, though in reality he wasn't tracking insects. He was responding to Lily's energy, her focus, and her gestures. It was play, but it was also a continuation of the bond that had saved her life and amazed the courtroom. Emily sighed, feeling a mixture of relief and wonder. "She's grown so much in just a few weeks," she whispered to David. "Not in height, but in courage and understanding. And Rex, he's changed too." David nodded, watching Rex gently paw at Lily's side when she stumbled over a small garden stone. "He's more patient, more attentive than ever. It's like he knows she's special, and she knows him too." The community, still buzzing from the events at the courthouse, decided to honor the extraordinary pair in a small ceremony at Maplewood Park, the very park where Rex had rescued Lily weeks before. The mayor, town officials, and dozens of residents gathered to celebrate courage, loyalty, and an unshakable bond. A small plaque was unveiled near the creek where Lily had first been in danger, reading, "In honor of courage, friendship, and the bond between Lily Matthews and Rex, a hero in every sense." Lily clapped her small hands, her eyes wide with delight. "Rex, look, they made it for us." The dog nudged her gently, his nose brushing her cheek in a silent acknowledgement. To the townspeople, it was a simple, heartwarming gesture. But to Emily and David, it was the culmination of a journey that had begun with fear and uncertainty, and now blossomed into pride and love. The mayor stepped forward to address the crowd. "Today, we celebrate not only a remarkable act of bravery, but also a bond that exemplifies trust, instinct, and the extraordinary relationship between humans and animals. Lily and Rex remind us all that courage comes in many forms, and that even the smallest among us can make the greatest difference." The applause that followed was loud and genuine, echoing through the park. Lily smiled, turning to Rex. "We did it together, Rex," she whispered. The dog, loyal and calm, leaned against her lightly, tail wagging softly. Over the following weeks, the Matthews family noticed subtle but profound changes. Lily had gained a quiet confidence. She spoke more clearly, observed more carefully, and displayed a calm focus unusual for a child her age. Emily marveled at her daughter's growth. "She's not just brave," she said. "She's different, more aware, more thoughtful, and Rex, he's part of that." David agreed, watching Lily show Rex a new game she had invented. "It's as if they communicate silently," he said. "Words aren't necessary. They understand each other completely." Back at the Maplewood Police Department, Rex's handlers noticed changes too. The dog was calm in situations that would normally demand hypervigilance, alert yet relaxed, focused on children and civilians in a gentle way. Peterson shook his head, astonished. "I've never seen a K-9 officer adapt like this," he said. "It's obvious he's bonded in a profound way with Lily, and it's changed him for the better." The bond between Lily and Rex extended beyond play and recognition. When the Matthews family went on errands, Lily often whispered to Rex in the car, guiding him calmly through small obstacles or asking him to stay attentive in crowds. The dog responded instantly, always alert but never aggressive, protective yet gentle. One rainy afternoon, the family returned to the park where Lily had first wandered into danger. She stood at the edge of the creek, looking down at the rushing water. "Rex," she whispered, "remember?" The dog leaned close, letting her rest her tiny hand on his head. He had never forgotten. Emily and David watched quietly, hearts full. "It's more than training or instinct," Emily murmured. "It's loyalty, love, and something that can't be explained." David nodded, squeezing her hand. They saved each other in different ways. She gave him purpose and he gave her protection, and that's forever. The town of Maplewood continued to celebrate their story. Local schools invited the Matthews family and Rex to speak about safety, courage, and empathy. Children listened wide-eyed as Lily demonstrated small gestures she had used to communicate with Rex, while the dog responded with gentle nods and barks. Parents, teachers, and officers alike were inspired by the unusual yet undeniable partnership. Even months later, Maplewood residents would recount the events to newcomers: the brave 3-year-old, the disciplined police dog, and the courtroom that had gone silent in awe. It became a story of inspiration, proof that trust and courage could transcend age, species, and expectation. For Emily and David, the lesson was clear. "Courage isn't about size or age," Emily said one evening as she tucked Lily into bed. "It's about heart, trust, and knowing who has your back." Lily hugged Rex's favorite stuffed toy, eyes heavy with sleep. "We'll always be a team, Rex," she whispered. The dog, resting in his bed nearby, let out a soft sigh, a sound of quiet acknowledgement and devotion. In the quiet of the Matthews home, the family reflected on everything that had happened: the park, the rescue, the courtroom, and the recognition. Each event had been extraordinary, but none more so than the bond that had grown between a small child and a loyal police dog. Emily kissed Lily on the forehead. "You've grown so much, little one, and Rex, you've been amazing too." David nodded. "It's a bond that will last forever. They saved each other, and they've taught us all something extraordinary." Outside, the stars twinkled over Maplewood. The night was calm, peaceful, and full of promise. Lily dreamed of adventures with Rex by her side, running through fields, exploring forests, and guiding the world with courage and trust. The dog, alert in his dreams, remained close, protective, and loyal. The plaque at the park glimmered faintly in the moonlight, a permanent reminder of courage, trust, and friendship. Maplewood had witnessed an event that would be remembered for generations: a story of a tiny girl, a devoted police dog, and a bond so extraordinary it left everyone who saw it in awe. In the hearts of Emily and David, the lesson was clear: bravery and loyalty do not come in predictable forms. Sometimes they appear as a fearless toddler and a devoted dog, guiding, protecting, and inspiring everyone around them. And sometimes they leave a legacy that is nothing short of magical. As the town slept, the bond between Lily and Rex remained unshakable, an invisible thread of trust, courage, and love. The world had seen them perform extraordinary feats, but their connection was more than heroism or recognition. It was forever. And in Maplewood, that bond would continue to grow, unseen yet undeniable. A quiet reminder that friendship, trust, and bravery come in all shapes, sizes, and forms, even in the heart of a 3-year-old and her police dog.